Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of We've Been There. EP5, Having Control,
This is a
Self
good one.
Control.
This is a good one.
This is a good one. I'm actually going to be sharing this right
I'm back with the torch, bud.
now. Yeah, that's fine now. I'm trying to get some people in here.
While you're grabbing, I'm
Facebook
dabbing.
community. Yeah, I'll grab them. You dab them. That's funny, dude.
That's that garlic shit.
What is the dabs?
That's that fucking Parmesan cheesy bread, baby.
Oh yeah.
I think I grow his beard so big because I smoked that Parmesan cheese.
All right, so I have the post almost typed up. Boom. Try to put the link in there, but it's going crazy.
Shit. That's the only one that gets me too. I gotta smoke all these other dabs. Dude, none to make me cough. This shit, it has a slight skunk taste to it. Like if you ever walk outside and you can smell how pungent the skunk is and you can almost taste it.
Yeah.
That's what that shit tastes like, bro.
Oh, nice.
It's fucking wild. It's great though.
I don't know why I'm having such a hard time with Facebook just posting regular stuff, but it won't let me post anything. It's been very weird, dude. So I apologize for our listeners on our podcast. We have a little bit of a slow start because I'm trying to get our people in here. But if you do listen to the podcast, you might want to actually catch us live on YouTube, where we do a video podcast. And then what we do is we have to pull the audio off for you guys in the audio world and rip it, put it back down so you can listen to it as a podcast. My dog is in here, so we'll be right there.
Can everyone hear me? Is anyone in here to verify that they can hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you. I'm pretty sure you're here.
I hope so.
Yeah, man. I really like this week's episode topic because I think that a lot of people can get some good information out of this, because I think that there is no like self-control when it comes to being impatient or being a new grower, or if you're looking at your plant and you get this feeling like you absolutely need to do something because it's been here in flower for 3 weeks and 4 weeks, and there's nothing wrong with it, and you just want this thing to explode. So there's a lot of understanding restraint. Defoliating, over defoliating, definitely not something you want to do. So those are just some examples while we dive into what it is. I actually am just going to grab my water really fast. So Matt, why don't you bring us into some?
Well, considering I just mentally checked into this podcast about 68 seconds ago, yeah, I mean, it's a good thing to be excited, especially new growers. I get it. Like, it's new, it's exciting. Like go like full fucking throttle shit. We get that. Enthusiasm is great. Um, but you can be over enthusiastic. You can overcompensate a lot, with absorbing all this information that there is on the growing side. Um, because you're gonna get on Google, you're gonna be in group chats, you're gonna see people doing all these different things. And like you're just gonna want to do it all. It's like wine tasting or whiskey taste, like you just want to taste it all the way.
Right.
So you can cause damage with that, well, maybe it needs more light and you're just cranking your light up, or like maybe it needs more water and now you're just pounding it, and then well, what if I pluck these leaves off and break this branch? And well, I saw a guy do this, and then I saw another guy do that. And next thing you know, like you're training your plant three different ways at the same time. And your plant's like, whoa, like I'm a fucking pretzel right now. Relax.
One
Um,
thing, one thing I want to say is like when you plant a seedling and you think that you're a new grower and you think you have to water it every day, um, and that's really not good because I know that people have this idea like, oh, it's little, it needs water, it needs to grow. How you doing? Is that Hugh, Hou? Hugh 713,
I hope they could hear
Texas,
me.
Houston, Texas. Can you hear Matt? He's really concerned. I think you. I
That's
know
me.
you
I'm Matt. See, my helicopter just flew by.
can. By the way, everyone, we totally botched introductions like usual. I'm Rick from Uncle Rick's Genetics, and that's Matt from Parts Unknown.
Yeah, well, I got to verify that people can hear me because now
He
it's
could
like
hear
a
you.
thing.
He said, "Yeah, evening, sir." He
You
said, "Evening,
instilled.
evening
You,
from Denver. Good
oh,
evening, sir."
nice. Good evening from, well, I mean,
Parts
I guess
Unknown.
it's out there. It's more late afternoon, isn't
Yeah,
it?
maybe like an hour behind, I think.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
so yeah, so if you're a beginner and you have, a seedling, it's 5 p.m. They're 2 hours behind Eastern Standard. So, if you have a seedling, you want to definitely control yourself with the watering. You definitely want to control yourself with how much wind you throw at these things. I see these seedlings in tents and they're like pinned, looks like a category 5 hurricane's going through them. You know what I mean? You get the mister and
Just
13 mile
leaves
an
like
hour
all
wind.
the way.
Yeah, they're like, exactly to 100%. Yeah.
Like the fucking air traffic controller just got stuck, and he was just like,
Yeah, dude. Fucking, but that's what it is. You're like, you're doing too much, and these plants definitely do have nature over nurture. They don't get a perfect environment outside. They get beat up, and that's kind of why plants are, the strong surviving plant. The strong will survive. So that's from nature, not nurture. So, when you're inside and you're giving it everything it needs, you could dial it back a little bit because there's not like any stressors unless you create them, which is what my next caveat would be. John, how you doing?
well, like before you get too deep into this, I gotta pause because I'm having like a grower's moment right now. So like whoever's new or whatever, or slightly new to growing cannabis, like I can't wait for 5 years down the road because like this is one of my favorite things to do is like go in like growing groups and just scroll and like sometimes you see some really good plants, but it's the ones that I look for. There goes my helicopter again. Is the ones that are like so fucking ridiculous because it makes me laugh. Like you're just scrolling and you're like, bro, what the fuck is this person thinking? To me, that's funny. But like, not
Exactly.
funny in a sense that like I know he's gonna fucking struggle and like probably not have great results at all. But it's funny because like this is the same shit that I did when I first started growing. And was like, oh my god, if you only knew, you know. So
Yeah, I see people over defoliate a lot. I see people under
big
defoliate.
time.
More than anything, I see people under defoliate and like control yourself. You know that thing needs some defoliation. Get yourself out there. Don't be fucking lazy. You know, it's all the same thing. If you can do too much, it's doing too little as
Yeah, I
well.
think of it like fingers. Like if I plucked a finger and it grew back in, you know, 4 or 5 days, right? So I think of like having both my hands. Now, if I need to pluck fingers, it's absolutely necessary. You know, like would I pluck all of them and then go 3 to 4 days with no fucking way to grip anything or have hands?
Right.
Or would I just take a finger here, a finger here, and a finger here? That way I can still kind of like
Do things.
function pretty decently. And then in a couple of days it'll grow back. And then maybe I'll pull a different one.
Right.
But you never pull all of them at the same time because then like you're fucked. You're just like shit. I didn't think about this ahead of time, and
I
then
don't know.
you should.
I don't know what to call you. I'm just gonna call you either Hugh or Tex. I should call you Tex. I mean,
He's
it's like
Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. I know, but it's a 713 in the middle. I don't really know. His name's Mike. All right, Mike. What's up? He says he's new, as he's a new grower, but he has a green thumb. Yeah, man. You know, that's the thing. A lot of people do have green thumbs, but then once you get into growing, your plant gets into 5 weeks of flower, and you've got 400 meatheads on Facebook telling you to do this, do that, buy this, use that. You know, what's your pH? You should do this, and you have 14,200,000 suggestions just after you want to post a
Well,
picture of your
it's
plant.
not even necessarily that
You can
though.
just
It's like
have you can have some control over sticking to your plan, and that's really what's important is sticking to your plan. Having a plan is important, but sticking to the
yeah.
plan you laid out is even more important because if you give in to these things, you could take what could be a great run and destroy it.
Well, I'll say this too, like, and like not knocking anybody that's a green thumb. Like I can just grow, and it's great to have like that background because you're gonna need it. Um, but like cannabis is a completely different animal. Like you're going tomatoes outside. Like yeah, you're probably gonna use like some 4 or 5 week slow release freaking fertilizer. You're just gonna toss down on top of the dirt and water it in.
Right.
Um, you're and then forget about it, and then just go and pluck your tomatoes off as they grow. And tomatoes are closest to cannabis because they're like you have to deflower a tomato plant. Like there's work to be done to get a good
Kind
things.
of. You don't have to pollinate your
It's
freaking
not as
cannabis
extensive, but
plant with bees and have it
no,
flower,
but
to get
it's
fruit. It's a little
having a
different.
green thumb isn't necessarily going to get the job done though, like because
There's
it's a
so
lot
many
of
other
work.
things to know too. But
Yeah, there's a lot of work.
that one thing that I do want to hammer home though is like if you have a growing regiment or like if you have a nutrient regiment, don't go and change anything up midway through flower. You can really mess yourself up that way if you go the wrong way. You could actually really help yourself too. You could be like, "Oh man, I tried this flower booster." I'm just saying while you're new and learning things. Like the advice I'm giving is based on the predication that you're learning a base level of growing. Like you know what I mean? You're trying to get your standard down, something
Yeah,
that you
absolutely.
you follow all the time. Then if you want to try messing around later on, this is when we're telling you to have constraint. It's when you are experienced and you do know a little bit. You're like, nah, dude, I'm getting a fat flower booster, and then you get it, and then you use a teaspoon, and the thing went crazy, and you're like, sweet, 2 weeks. You use another teaspoon. It says teaspoon to tablespoon. So then
Yeah.
you use like
Think of
half a
it. Well,
tablespoon or something crazy, and then you
I
don't
guess
have
you
any
could
control.
also
This
could
shit
also think
happens.
of it like rally car racing or Indy car racing. Like these guys know how to drive, but they also like when they're going to a different track, they spend weeks, learning every turn and curve and what speed to take it at, and exit speed and braking. Like they put a lot of work into that stuff. So like, yeah, they already know how to drive. So like, they got the green thumb, but like, it's a completely different thing, you know. So I think that like you have to have research and like again, like I said, beginners like you're gonna want to like just fucking go, you know, run those gears and just stay in sixth gear, pedal to the floor, hitting the rev limiter like just nonstop and try to do everything. I just think sometimes it's good to just, have that self control and just like be like, wait a minute, let me slow down. Let me kind of like
Right.
stick to my plan at first and get a feel for it. And then slowly start to tinker and, like build the house first. And then you can start like, cutting shit, adding shit, get the main structure built, get your family in there. Then you want to throw an addition on next year or add a swimming pool, do all that stuff after you get the main shit built.
Um, Mike said drying and curing is his issue in the elevation he's at. And then Dom is here. What's up, Dom? How you doing, man? Drying something that like is best done if you can isolate one room that has like a window AC, or if you have central air or something, you could keep a room cooler than the rest and have a humidifier, dehumidifier. It's kind of best. I think it's hard to do it in a tent if your tent room is never
Yeah. I mean,
dedicated
environment wise,
60
like
60 and then jarring
you're
it.
just gonna have to spend the money. Like that's all I can say. And like in a nutshell, like if you're having like major environment issues, like you're just gonna have to spend money. I hate to even say that. Like that you might find different ways and tricks to do it, but eventually like you're just gonna have to spend the money on the proper equipment. Um
Yeah, well, I mean, drying's not that hard, bro. I mean, honestly, if you had a
it's
room with a
not.
with a window unit, if you had like a small bathroom and you could shove a window unit in there and you could keep it 60 degrees and put a humidifier in there, keep it 60 humidity, 60-60, hang dry the plant for 10 to 12 days. It snaps on one side, bends on the other, jar it up or wet trim it and jar it up after. That's really all it is, but having that environment locked in is all that's all you really need. There's nothing really
Yes.
special there. Have a little bit of airflow
These-
and
You can even use
whatever, but
humidity packs inside your jars to help compensate for some of that. Get it to like where it's about 40% through its curing process or 50% through its curing process. Just feel your buds. If they're kind of like dry on the outside but still got a little moisture on the inside, like you can really throw those in a jar with a humidity pack, fresh one.
I'm more of a fan of
Oh, air
when
dry
it
all day.
smokes.
Yeah,
When you
slow
can
dry.
smoke a bowl of it, when you can take it and break it up with your hands and smoke a bowl of it, and it smolders and burns. Well, that was the old way. But like that works every time. You don't use a small bud, use a medium bud, and the shit won't break down. Just leave them sit there till they will. I do. I'd like to do wet trim, like 4 days, 60-60, 4 days hanging on on drying rack.
Have to, dude.
Light
Have to.
fan blowing in the opposite, like fan right in front of him blowing away. So it's just kind of pulling air from behind it. And then jarring it. But one big thing that I want to say is about curing is like people will cure and then they'll be like it's not really like doesn't really smell good, kind of smells like hay or kind of smells like this or that. And the one thing I want to say is like if you don't have good terpene production, if you nuke your plant with heat and no humidity and you just kill the VPD, or if you don't feed it right and this thing is like just deficient the whole time through the last few weeks of flower, it's going to affect the smell and it's going to affect the amount of growth that you had that's, actually oily and resinous versus the leaf content on there. And if you don't trim it tight, you could also get another more leafy, earthy smell to stick. It'll stay there, like in the jar, and it's hard to get rid of that once you have it. So, also the third most common is that people jar it at like 65 to 70% humidity just below that and keep burping it, and that humidity in there makes it smell like wet grass, you know. But basically, when you're curing, all you're doing is letting the oxygen dissipate in there and anaerobic bacteria to build up and, you know, eat the chlorophyll essentially. And then you have to off gas their gas. So it takes about a week for them to start breaking down and start forming in there. So 2 weeks, you pop the jar, you know, after it's the right humidity, and you know you have that really terrible off gas smell, and then another 2 weeks, and then you just let it sit for a month. So if you try that with the right environment, I can't see how you would have you know, bad result unless your plant wasn't putting out terpenes and you know couldn't really grow or had deficiencies or toxicities, or, you know, was locked out in flower. All that affects the taste and the potency, obviously.
So does like what else is really big is did you harvest it correctly at the proper time? Because that affects a lot of things as well, especially the smell in your buds.
Yeah, and when did you water it before you chopped it? Did you water it and then chop it like the same freaking day, the next day, a day or two after? Because that has a lot to do with how long it's going to take to dry. If you water the hell out of it and then chop it, you're going to have a long, long time of drying versus, you know, not. And then, you know, buds dry out on the outside and not the inside. It's just, I don't know, it affects it too. So you get like a, it's not hard to cure. It's just again, you get those basic values down, and you know, then you could start messing around. If you say, "Oh, I hung the whole plant this time. Next time I'm gonna do a wet trim." Like, all right, you got through the process though. You know what I mean? At least once. So you know, if you could try doing the wet trim first, it really doesn't matter. But you know, make that your basic.
So I use a lot of stick, meaning like I'll do like a whole branch.
Right?
So I will wet trim first,
Right?
like not like a complete wet trim, but like a good 60% wet trim. Hang it, and then 5 days in, like when they're just starting to curl in, I'll go in and clean the rest of the wet trim shit off. Just because it's like when that thing's fully dry, you want to get those shitty leaves off. It's like a pain in the dick once those buds rock up and you're trying to get in those little nooks and crannies. It's just fucked. So you wet trim and then wet trim again. Let it dry.
Yeah, that's why.
That's how
That's
I mean.
why
That's how
wet
I
trim.
do it anyway.
That's why wet trimming is the way to go. You know, you get when it's dry. I feel like in my opinion, honestly,
Well, it
when it's
also
dry, when you dry it the other way and you dry trim it, I feel like you get like nothing but just leaves stuck in the buds
yeah
because
yeah
they are
for
breaking
sure.
instead of
But what
letting
else
them wet.
happens
You just
too is
pull them out. You know.
if you pull the bulk off by wet trimming, you're not allowing like large leaves to like curl around your buds on like one side and have like half a bud super dry, the other half still moist because it's had this shield. You know, it helps it dry more evenly. It gets better airflow. Because if you
Well,
have a lot of vegetation on your cola and that thing droops down and covers it, because those leaves are definitely going to dry out first because buds hold way more moisture than a leaf. Now you got like these shitty dry leaves, like you can create mold that way. I mean, there's a bunch of different things that can happen.
right. Well, see the hybrid wet trimming fan leaves off. Um, when you cut the plant down, the whole idea with hanging the whole plant is that there's one place in the plant that it's able to let moisture out of, which is in the stem. But then when you go and you wet trim it, even if you just cut off the fan leaves and you hang the whole plant, now it's going to dry like 2 days faster. If you were to take each branch stem off, it's going to dry in like 30% of the time. But you run the risk of drying out the terpenes and all this stuff. You run the risk of drying out the flavor and you know what I
So
mean?
you have
Like
to control yourself.
you got it. He mentioned that, so I just wanted to go over that. But like there's a couple things that you absolutely have to have those parameters so that you didn't waste all your time.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Which actually goes into my second point about controlling yourself, which goes back to last week. Somebody said to me, oh, I got to get this and that. And I'm like, if you were to come to me first and talk to me about your grow, I would have figured out your environment and you would have budgeted the first time you bought a kit, including, humidifier and, mitigation for your climate. And like you wouldn't have bought the size tent and stuff you have. Now you have that and you almost can't even run it. You know what I mean? But that was an impulse buy because people were recommending it and they bought a bunch of impulse stuff. And that's because they had no self control. They were just being, crazy
Yeah.
hobbyists. So,
Dude, it almost happened to me. Like my first tent purchase was almost a 10 by 10.
that's crazy.
Like,
Oh my
how
God.
much tent can I fit in here?
I'm
Like,
so glad you didn't do that.
oh man, that would have been terrible.
Yeah. Just open the door and have to unzip in the doorway of the other door you just opened.
Could
Turn
have
the
lived
door knob.
there.
Open the door and there's a tent zipper. Yeah, man. Go cheap or buy it twice.
Can you imagine the hate that I would have got for like posting on Facebook with a 10 by 10 with like one little plant and a tiny little light in there?
Yeah, if you do go cheap, most of the time, like you're gonna buy it two times. But the other part of it is if you buy something that's just not designed for it and it's cheap, then you have no use for something and it still works, but it doesn't do it. You need it to. So it's like it's definitely important to
Yeah.
it's definitely important to make completely thoughtful actions when you're going to grow this plant, not kind of just not like it's the hype. It's the hype. That's what we're trying to have you avoid. Avoid the hype. Make a plan. Don't freaking fall for all these people being like, "Oh, dude,
Do we
you
have
gotta
people in the
buy
chat?
this." Yeah.
How many people are in there?
We have John growing with Dom and
Well, let me
Mike.
ask the people in the chat. Like, where do you find it? Like in the midst of your grow from seed to harvest, like where do you find it the most difficult to like keep yourself in check or like control yourselves? Like, is it like watering? Is it like, you know, feeding schedule? Like, where do you struggle like with controlling yourself? Because I want to give my plant a shit ton of water at the beginning. Like, not to
Yeah,
the point where I'm killing it, but like I'm trying to like, small
ride the
volumes
line.
but ample water. Yeah,
Yeah, you ride
because
the line.
so it's like, but there are some plants that don't respond well to that, and I'm like, oh shit, this thing's getting a little overwatered. Chill out.
Yeah, dude. Of course not. They're not all the same, but like, you know, I think the worst part is when you want to make every plant a heavy feeder, and you get into flower and you're like, all right, it's been doing good. Here's 1,000 ppms, and you're like, damn it, it didn't want it. Toxic trait. You want a monster plant every time, so try to feed it that way. Mike said feeding sometimes. He's going organic next round. That'll help you. Organic burns less because it's well, it depends what. But if you have organic soil, it'll definitely burn less with the more nutrient content in there because it's just different. It's not super readily available constantly, even though it is. But it's not like a cesspool of readily available nutrients.
This is true.
I also see someone. I know someone in this chat who has a bean popping problem.
Yeah, John.
Growing with Dom and John, you guys pop seeds like it's your business. Use Coco Core So you're going to be using like a organic nutrient, like liquid or dry amendment.
I'm about to be starting some more here too myself.
Cocoa. You're going cocoa, Matt?
Absolutely not. No.
Oh, I'm
Stick
gonna.
to my. I'm gonna stick to my same.
I'm
Same
going to.
thing.
So you're going liquid organic. Who are you gonna go with? If you don't mind me asking. Green tea. Do you know what that is, Matt?
I have no idea who green tea.
Green tea nutrients. Green tea nutrients.
Who's that? John going with green tea?
Oh, this guy Mike. Is it actually like green tea?
Should try the utopic.
For plants.
Try
Organic.
utopic nutrients. His are liquids, right? Yeah.
So if you're using just actual like green tea leaves, or this is like, well, I'm like
I
blown
doubt.
away right now.
I doubt it's green tea, Eric. I'm
Well,
sure it's like a
it
company
says you
name.
could use it, and I'm looking green tea for plants. Maybe I'm spelling it wrong. Nutrients. I'm just trying to check it out. No, dude, I don't know.
Gotta be a company, dude.
Put a link in the chat, and I'll check them out.
Throw a link in the chat.
If not, we actually work with the owner of Utopic Essential Nutrients, and it's actually really beginner friendly. It's a liquid organic nutrient company. There's 5 bottles. It's pretty simple. They come with a little milliliter dropper, and you just kind of put each solution into a gallon of water, or whatever you're feeding with, and you feed once a week, and it's very easy. Um, it's really good for beginners though, and it's hard to burn your plants with it. Again, it's organic. If you are looking for something like that, just let me know. You can shoot me a message um, on YouTube, or you can reach out to me on Facebook, whatever works for you, and I can get you connected with Rod.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, like here's another thing with controlling yourself with feeding, like or having self-control. Well, I guess this is more like self-discipline, which, I guess coincides. Like if you're gonna be using like fertilizer, whether it's synthetic or organic, and you have to do a weekly regimen, like you have to start your grow in mind with like you're gonna have to like commit to that 100%. Like, because if you start like just half-assing it, if you're like, oh, I'll feed week 1, and then you get busy and you skip week 2, or week 2 happens 3 days after it's supposed to happen, now your whole schedule's off.
Right.
Like, you have to really like stick with it. It's okay to make nutrients like a couple days ahead of time. You can do that. I usually do it the night before, unless I'm, God forbid, I'm brewing a tea. Then like 48 hours, and I gotta monitor it and shit. But that's more advanced stuff I'm talking about. Not really, but
You're doing custom tea. Most
yeah.
teas are like not brewed that long.
Well, yeah. I mean, some are 24 at least minimal.
So a lot of them I'm seeing are 12 hours, 8 hours. I
You can
mean,
get the biggest bang out of your buck. Like I could sit here and like throw back guano in a sachet and like let it brew for 24 hours, and that thing's just gonna be
yeah, but
fucking
that's
lock,
different.
stock, and rock.
That's different though, dude. That's it's an extraction at that point.
Right?
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're putting other stuff in there, it doesn't take. You're not gonna do much. Like if you're using banana tea, you're not gonna let that sit in there for
I'm
24
just
hours.
saying, like that's where like that's the huge difference between what what works best for you in the time that you have, with can you commit to weekly mixing of nutrients and pH balancing them and making sure that your plant's scheduled and all that stuff, right? Or is more amended soil better for you, with putting those nutrients in there ahead of time, knowing like when they're going to release, where to put them in your pot, like you have to
Top
have
dressing it. Yeah, I mean,
right,
and this is what I mean. We went over a lot of this in last week's episode. If you guys didn't catch it, it was called time management. So we went over a lot of this then. But like when you sign up for your plan, your plant's regiment essentially, and you buy what you're buying. If you don't if you don't like stick to that, or if you think that you're not getting great results. I've seen people go buy like flower boosters. I've seen people buy, um, veg boosters, fish emulsions, foop, all this stuff. They'll spend like $200 throughout the grow, and realistically, they just have problems the whole time. And if you go back a second to where they weren't having any issues and they thought stuff wasn't working fine for them, it probably was. A lot of the times we see people just like take a wrong turn, and then you're like, well, what did you do? And they're like, oh, well, I fed it twice that one week. And you're like, oh, I knew something stupid
yeah,
happened.
that's the largest mistake. And again, here comes more control. Like you have to have patience and you have to understand like how plants react to certain things, how they counter certain things, how they, and the time frames that these things take. Because you could feed a plant and then like 2 days go by, you're like, fuck, it's getting even more yellow. Like, so you fucking smash it again because you think you didn't give it enough. But in all reality, it takes, like 5 days for plants to start greening back and starting to
It
correct
could.
itself.
It could.
You
It
know,
depends what's wrong. If you
I
if
mean, it could be almost instant, or again, it depends on the deficiency
what
or
you
what
use.
the plant needs,
If
because
you
they're,
need
again,
nitrogen and you give it MSU, you're gonna see that result overnight because it's
yeah, I mean, it's
chelated
like,
and it's like freaking a Slurpee of steak essentially. The thing just can suck up through a straw. But you need to be controlled in your basics. You need to be checking your pH. That'll help you to get regimented in knowing what these plants have and getting a baseline instead of just throwing stuff at it and guessing. Again, this is where we're talking about beginners, and essentially a lot of this stems from Facebook and social media, and you'll be sitting there watching a video and then you'll just go and do whatever they did to your plant. And your plant's just sitting there like, oh my God, he's coming back in here, and then you go and freaking cut 3/4 of it off and it's like sitting there shaking in the corner. And the next day you see a video for this and you go do that and then you overwater it, or whatever because you want to give it some sort of tea you saw. You know what I mean? It's just like that stuff is all impulsive, and it happens a lot. It really does, and it happens to more beginners and semi-experienced people than I'd like to say. I've seen too many people go from great to burned up, destroyed plant that can't really finish.
absolutely.
You know, and I'm all for schwazzing and lollipopping if you do it at the right time. You know, um, like week into flower, it starts to bud up, and then you rip every single fan leaf off except for the top two nodes, and every other bud site, and this thing's just like sitting there, like four little tops, six little tops, eight little tops,
Like a
and people
Charlie
go
Brown
nuts,
Christmas tree.
and it does grow back, but you don't just do that out of sporadic impulse. You do that because you planned it out. You have some experience doing it, and I'm sure that there's people that just go from never defoliating to schwazzing a plant at once. But I know that a lot of people go for different methods of defoliating, and they'll do like one technique where they take 20% of the plant or 40%, and then they'll take like 8 nodes down, and then they'll get into like well, I've taken so much off this plant, I already know what's going to happen, you know? So baselines are really important, and having the control to keep your baseline is really important because it's something I see people like they stray off the path like immediately. They forget, they get all flustered with everybody growing. It's a big community. It's like this is a social hobby. You know what I mean? A lot of people do grow for themselves and they don't need to share with people. But a lot of people grow just because it's a fun community based thing hobby. You know, and I think it could get you in. I think it can get you in trouble. You know, I think it's people that are open minded into trouble. You know, you said that you were trying out electroculture with a battery in your soil. Imagine that made some sort of horrible thing happen. You know what I mean? Just because you saw it online, you tried it out. You know what I mean? I've seen people be like, "Oh yeah, dude, I saw this trimming method," and then they trim their plant, and you're like, "Oh no."
Fuck that.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. I ain't coming back. You know, but
It's like, trying to put like a 186 piece item together with no instructions. I'm like, what
one
goes
time,
where?
one
Yeah.
time, all off
100,
impulse.
198 nuts and bolts and not a fucking clue. And they're all different sizes.
Right.
They're all the same, then obviously you'd probably know, but you
Another thing I want to exercise is its importance to a beginner is if you have any information or place that you go to get information about growing, consistently visit there and look for the people that are giving out actual information and educate yourself. It's not
and verify it.
this isn't just
Verify
a
the information that you're given, though.
yeah,
That's what I
don't
say.
just take someone's word. Take your own word. Make your own research. Find the answers yourself. You know, go online. Read fucking that this was on here 17 times. It's 17 people agree. You know, this is normal. And that can be where you form your baseline. You could read, outlandish articles and take what you feel is, legitimate from what you know, but definitely make sure that you're setting aside time to keep yourself furthering your education with this because that's literally the most important thing. This plant is something that from when it was grown in the 70s to now is such a different animal. Things have changed so much. People know so much more now. um
Dude, I'm sorry, but I
but
totally forgot the title of this week's episode. I'm sitting here trying to remember it.
that's good, huh?
The fuck was it? What did we call it?
Should I tell you?
Yeah. Oh, self control. Controlling yourself.
Having control, yeah.
It just hit me, dude. I kept saying time management in my head because you keep talking about time.
Well, I mean, you have to
Plus,
you
I'm
have
really
to
stoned, so yeah. But that doesn't add clarification to the brain sometimes.
you got to get yourself regimented, and I know that might not be exercising control, but it is because
What's a helicopter? I haven't seen it.
you have to make sure that you get the parameters right, man. And you have to make sure you're not just like blasting your plant with 100% light, because you want this thing to grow, and then you have a 3-inch tall auto. Like, you have to have control. There's your helicopter. There you go. Going by.
Get in the chopper.
Another thing you have to have control about is not planting too many damn seeds at once.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bean Poppers Anonymous. We can find you.
I think we covered that time management too last week about make sure you have enough time for the amount of plants that you're growing.
Yeah, but having control to not pop them is
Dude.
it comes. Nobody thinks about the time or anything. They're just like, oh man, I got, or you got to impulse buy the seeds. You got 1,500 packs of seeds. You don't ever have time to grow them. You can't ever grow.
Oh, that's how people are when they
There's
first
no self control.
They're in every giveaway, which is cool. You get them how you
Giveaways,
get them.
giveaway. You get them without spending your money, but
You definitely
It's
become
crazy.
like a seed crackhead. Like you want to just grab all the seeds and all the strains and grow them all. And especially if your first one's good, then you're just like, oh my god, like I did really well. Like I'm gonna grow like 47 different strains now all at the same time because this is amazing.
Actually, I want to bring up another place that I think people really need to control themselves. And this is just like kind of in
Smoke,
general, but like
smoking all the hash.
if you're a beginner and you just like learn something, don't go out in the world and try to educate everybody about it. Please control yourself in that manner. The Facebook groups are a mess because of people that don't know anything going and throwing, you know, all this stuff they just heard once. It's like
Oh,
they
I mean, there's excitement there, I guess. Like you want to like
bro,
just, but I,
control yourself.
but I mean, be
No.
humble. That's what be
Control
humble.
yourself. No, you
No,
don't
just be
even know what
humble.
you're talking about, and you're not even messing up other people. Like if that was
Right.
if you
I
saw
mean,
you, you would be screwed by yourself or that other person and be pissed about it. You know,
yeah. I mean, I guess I'm that type of person. So
you want to help as soon as you know something. Okay, well, don't know enough
yeah.
to be dangerous. Have some. Yes, Mike Lovinger. Thank you. Restraint. Have some fucking restraint. Okay, because there's people out there that want to learn, and you want to learn too. But have some
Yeah,
restraint.
my
Not
mom said
everybody
she
out
was
here.
proud of me. So
Listen, I'll put it this way. I see bad advice from growers that don't know what they're talking about, who are definitely beginners. So whoever's doing that, have some self-control and educate yourself before you educate others. Make sure you know what you're talking about before you go out in these groups, and
yeah,
not only piss off all the veterans and get everybody all riled up and get all the feathers ruffled. You know, you could learn
it's
a
gonna
lot more
happen, dude.
asking a question.
Can't stop that shit.
You'll learn a lot more asking a question than you will
Like putting up a
trying to
dome.
tell
That's like
someone
putting
how
up
to
a
grow.
don't pee in the pool at a public pool. Like people are always gonna piss in it, dude.
Well, you know what? I'm trying to have some good measure here. I'm trying to
I
have some
get it.
self.
I hear it.
I'm trying to have some self control,
Just don't spend
and
too much
and
time
I'm
on it.
educating people on how to do things with these plants and whatever. One good thing is don't shoot yourself in the foot by educating others the wrong way, getting kicked out of groups and stupid shit, or people not wanting to help you because you went and wanted to be out of control.
Yeah, I get it.
Maybe.
Self control. Be humble. Lay down. What do you got going on over there? What did I see come out your lungs just now?
I don't even know, dude. I was just talking about this morning on the Wake and Bake. I don't even know what I'm smoking.
Wow, that's
I've been
crazy.
smoking it for two.
Dude, I
It's
found some
almost 3 weeks.
fucking jet fuel gelato like out of nowhere today. Just totally forgot that I had. It was like a quarter. I'm like, oh, what's this? And I looked at the
I
label
got
and it
this.
was
Actually, while I'm sitting here, I got this bag. Um, this weird blocky stuff in there. I don't
oh
know
the
what it is.
hash. Dude,
I
I
don't know.
opened listen, I got one nug of super booth left. I opened the jar and I just smelled it today.
That
It
is
depresses me.
it is amazing. I don't know where my bag went. I might have
And then
even
I put the
smoked
lid
it.
back
Who
on.
knows?
You know how bad like I want to smoke it, but I look at it and there's only one nug left. I'm just like, no,
Well, that,
can't
that
bring
hash
myself.
brownie broke into two in half, so I still
I'm
have
good.
it.
Send that. Send it.
It'll be waiting for you at the next festival,
Oh,
which
just send it.
which everybody, the festival we'll be at next is in the Poconos, um, on the 27th, 28th, Matt, July.
28th, 29th.
It's the weekend around there. I'll put this calendar. Hold on,
It's Labor Day weekend. No, no, no. That's the one in Ohio.
let me pull this up. This is July, 27th and 8th. Yeah.
Is
So
it
27th and
Saturday?
8th will be
Saturday
the
and Sunday.
Poconos. That'll be the next
Saturday
time
and
that you
Sunday.
can see us in person. Get some sweet deals. Hang, smoke, shoot the shit, talk about plants.
Yeah. Possibly get your hands on some of our pre-germinated specimens.
Possibly.
Possibly. To be announced.
That hash is really strong. Like
I wouldn't know. I
I
wouldn't
forget every
know.
time. It's like a pine cone is inside your lungs. It's kind of crazy. It just
Wish I
expands
had
so
pine cones,
fast.
and I wish I had pine cones in my lungs, Eric. My world would be fucking all gumdrops and rainbows if my lungs had pine cones in them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry,
I'm waiting
the
for my
last thing,
fucking helicopter to come by again, dude. You need to get me out of sorts right now.
the last thing that I'd like to point out for having control over and some self restraint is maybe, and it's pretty good. I've done it before, and it's actually amazing. Is tolerance breaks. Because
Yeah,
sometimes you'll grow like a whole pound, and then smoke it in a
I don't have
month.
those problems.
Yeah, yet. But
No, I
anyway,
never do. I never will.
why? Why?
I mean, I can smoke weed.
You what?
I can smoke weed, but I don't like have to smoke weed all day every day. I don't.
Let's say it's not getting you high, no matter what you're smoking, because your tolerance is just
I don't.
crazy.
Well,
Now you're
first off, I
growing
don't
a
smoke
blunt and you're
dirt.
just
I
blowing
don't
through it.
smoke dirt. First off, so
Hey,
second
you
off,
could get a
I
tolerance to
mean, my
really strong
tolerance is
bud.
good, bro. I could smoke a blunt and be fucking fine for 2, 3 hours. You know, I
Two,
could sit
three
here and
hours,
I
man.
can sit here and do 5 dabs,
Most,
smoke a blunt, and smoke a bowl, and be
bro.
super
I
stoned and be
I
all
know
right.
people that if they don't smoke a blunt every 20, 30 minutes, they're not high.
Yeah,
So like,
yeah,
you know
that's
what I
not
mean?
that's not right.
Right. So
I mean,
that's what
I
I'm
get it.
saying.
I get
Have
it.
some control, do a tolerance break. And you know it's crazy? Tolerance break when you grow your own is great because when you come back and you smoke some bomb shit, you're just like, holy fuck,
Well, I
dude.
guess I guess it depends on the need, though. Like some
You
people.
should try to tolerance break while you cure.
Yeah, but some people are like super. They should also tolerance break, but you know, um, some people are like on the super medicinal side of it that like need to smoke all day
Oh,
every
of course. No, I know, but
day.
still, even that, like if it's for that, then you're taking it at a certain amount, so you don't get what I mean, a heavy tolerance to it, and it doesn't work for you. So you're already kind of exercising control there. I'm just saying, like people smoke a lot of fucking weed, and sometimes it's good to take a break on that too.
Yeah. I mean, there's some days I come home so tired I won't smoke at all, dude. I'll just shower, eat, and go to sleep. Oh, I'm lying. I might hit the vape pen, but like I don't sit here and get fucked up. I hit that shit, get a little woozy, a little head rush, and I'm out like a fucking light.
It's good.
There's other times where I sit up here for hours, bro, and I get it in. You know.
I don't know. I do have a good tolerance.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
can
that's an expensive habit
tolerate.
then at that point.
Yeah, no, I understand, man. I understand, and that's why I have the advice I have. You
Take for
smoke and
instance, I will just do a comparison between just Eric and myself.
sure,
How long does an ounce last you?
a week.
Right. I can get. I probably can get. No, I sure for sure can get over a month out of an ounce.
Dude, fuck that noise. I mean, what are you
If I
doing?
want to, if I want to. I mean, like I'm just saying, like I don't need it like
I don't need it like that either. I just have to smoke more than
that.
you
Right? You
because
have to
it's a
smoke it.
tolerance thing,
You have
bro.
no self control. You just
No,
have to smoke it
it's a tolerance thing, bro. Like, I have a higher tolerance
all.
because I smoke more than you smoke. But like, if I take a tolerance break and you take a tolerance break, maybe if we went back and smoked the same bud, you'd be like fucking on planet 37 and I'd just be like, this is
Probably,
pretty crazy. Like,
probably.
I don't know, maybe it affects you stronger than me. Mike
No,
said
I
Mike
mean it
Lovinger
doesn't.
says
I doubt it.
he said after 50 years it's permanently in my system. Yeah, dude, I know what you mean. You're made of it at that point.
Cause like when we're at festivals, like we literally smoke all fucking day long.
You tell me you're good a lot though, and I just keep
Yeah,
ripping that
cause I
motherfucker.
am. I don't need to be fucking wrecked, dude.
I'm
You
not
know,
wrecked. I'm smoking. I'm fine.
bro. You don't think you're wrecked.
I don't know.
Sometimes you're wrecked though.
I don't know, dude. I mean, I'm good. I feel normal. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Fucking. I don't really have like that's what I mean. Like I just get I smoke and then it's that
It's just like
plateau
it's not
until I
just
stop
you though,
smoking.
dude. It's like customers are coming up and be like, "Here, hit this, try this." You
Here,
know,
hip, here, hit that there, hip.
I
Smoke this
grew this
hash.
myself. Let's smoke a bowl. You know, it's like, fuck, dude. It's like
Right.
it's nonstop. And then like as soon as it dies down, people go away. And passing me a bowl. He's like, "Here, dude." I'm like, "No, bro. I'm good." Like I just got done smoking like 30 seconds ago.
That's what I mean, dude. I'm not high. You're high. I'm not high.
Like
So
my lungs legit hurt. Like they hurt.
yeah, you gotta get some hair on them.
Me and Eric are fucking smoking garlic sticks in the fucking parking lot, trying to like get our lungs in check.
Yeah, dude. I actually just finished my stick that I had in this ashtray, but if you don't know, garlic is actually you can take the like the stem at the top of the bulb, like the top of the bulb. You can take that stem and you have to dry it a certain way, but once it's dried out, you can actually burn it and inhale it like you just waft inhale it, or you can take like if it's really straight, you can take like a shish kebab skewer and put a hole down the middle and kind of get it to ember up and inhale through it like a cigarette kind of and you will have this like kind of papery, like garlicky kind of a taste, but it burns your lungs a little bit, but you cough shit up like right away, and it's actually a antibiotic for your lungs. Like it's kind of crazy. Somebody gave me it. They told me to try it out. My friend Bob's mother she was like, "Yeah, yeah, try it. It's an old thing that we all did this and that," and I did, and it's kind of crazy because you feel like you breathe so much better, like almost right away. So we were smoking garlic and then smoking every sample strain Matt could find.
Sound like 5-year-old kids that like just discovered like thinking we're cool. Like, what are you smoking? Garlic, bro.
Garlic, man, you want a hit?
Smoking garlic.
Oh, dude. So I mean, take a tolerance break. You'll be a jackass smoking garlic at a festival.
Yeah. This is
Could be just like me.
No, but my shit literally like hurts for a good solid day even after, dude. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, that has probably nothing to do with the fact that you're smoking cigarettes still.
Well, I mean, yeah, whatever.
No, it doesn't. That's irrelevant.
I mean, it doesn't help, but fuck.
Well, I mean, just so because this is an education platform, so
And I do smoke a lot of goddamn cigarettes too, because I'll light one, I'll smoke like 5 to 10 puffs, and then I gotta put it down and talk to somebody, and then the next thing you know, it's like I gotta light up another one because I'm burned out.
right, dude. But like, just so you know, cigarettes are not expectorants, meaning does not make you cough it out, and cannabis is organic expectorant. So organic matter would be burned and in your lungs, and then it is an expectorant, meaning it forces you to cough it out. That's why you cough out the shit from your lungs when you smoke weed versus cigarettes. So, it does happen with cigarettes because there's a bunch of shit going into your lungs. Your lungs kick out on its own. But this expectorant is like, taking something that makes you cough,
Dude, you're using all these big words today, Bard. What's gotten in
you? Okay. So
expectorants, and what was the other one that you had earlier? I forget. You had like that was like your third big one today, bud. I've been counting them.
I'm getting smart.
Counting this helicopter that's about to fly by any second.
I've been reading bookles. Getting
bookles.
Yeah, I'm getting my smartens
on. A little delayed on the helicopter.
Yeah, well, he's.
Where the fuck is it?
Oh, there he is. There you go.
I knew it was coming soon.
You had to stop for mid-flight fuel. Well, this week, if you have self-control, this might have not been the best episode for you, but if you are a beginner, definitely rewind this and put it on repeat until you don't deviate from your grow plan. That's really the biggest part of this is don't
Still
get
goes
sucked
back
in.
to the plan.
Don't get sucked in by all the social media hype and all the products everybody wants you to just use to get you bigger flowers and this and that, supplements and all that stuff.
Just come
If you
here and
want to
ask
use
us
it,
questions.
that's fine. But don't buy it week 3 of flower because you don't really think what you got going on is working. You know what I mean? If it's not working, then don't do that next time. Plan for something next time, but don't go on the fly. Have some self-control. And when you have a seedling, have self-control. Don't murder the thing with water or nutrients at like week 1 or the first set of true leaves. I see people going full strength with nutrients. It's pretty crazy in amended soil.
I think we need to go over that. I think that's going to be next week's episode.
Nutrient feeding in mediums.
No. I want to cover like identifying deficiencies, toxicities, and also having the proper tools to test and diagnose. That's what there's my $3 word, having the proper tools to identify and diagnose.
Okay, so you're setting next week's episode as deficiencies and toxicities.
I haven't come up with a cool name for it yet. But
Okay. Well, that's what we're gonna outline.
Yeah.
Deficiencies, toxicities.
We'll call it proficient and deficient. Let's see, proficiency and deficiency.
Okay.
How about that?
I like it. It's catchy. Very catchy.
Yeah, like Mike Piazza, baby.
It's good stuff. Well, thank you everyone for coming out and
write that down because I'll forget it, dude.
I already know. Thanks everybody for coming out, and if you're watching, thanks for watching. If you're listening, we will catch you next week on the audio podcast. This will be uploaded tomorrow. If you follow us on Facebook, we're getting really close to the 15K giveaway. If you don't follow us, go on to Facebook, find the Uncle Rick's Genetics page. Definitely get into the event for the 15K giveaway. Thank you, Matt. And there's going to be 10 winners. We're even going to be giving away a $650 light. So come and get your number entered so that you have a chance to win, because we definitely want everybody to have the chance. We don't want people watching us
probably going to create a fake account.
Unbelievable.
It's just like I mean, you're giving away a $600 light. I mean,
D's nuts won. You would just be like, all right, I'm having a giveaway now. But yeah, if you're looking at following us around in the festival world, we'll be in Poconos, and then again in August we'll be in the Ohio area.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend, August 30th.
Labor Day weekend.
31st and the 1st, and Labor Day is on the 2nd.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's Labor Day weekend. We should bring a grill, dude, and start. We have fucking burgers and dogs.
Burgers and dogs. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for being with us, and we'll catch you next week. As always, always cultivate greatness.
Always.